I'm going to get you started with basics of trigonometric equations. And this entire journey of generalized trigonometry started with a rotating line OP of length r. R is a positive number, that's only the length of the line. And while this line rotated in the xy plane, the x and y coordinates of the end P varied while theta changed. Now, for every theta, there is going to be unique x and y. But for a given xy, there can be multiple values of theta. For example, this xy could have been obtained for this theta, or could have been obtained for theta plus 360 degrees, or theta minus 360 degrees, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to dwell in those facts right now. I'm going to get to the basics of equations, trigonometric equations. But in that context, let me first mention that when the rotating line coincides with the positive direction of the x-axis, what is theta? Theta can be 0 plus minus 2 pi, theta can be 0 plus minus 2 pi plus minus 4 pi, and so on and so forth. That means, in general, theta is going to be an even multiple of pi. Theta is going to be an even multiple of pi. That means the positive direction of the x-axis would be about, say, 2n pi, where n is any integer, right? Whereas the negative direction of the x-axis, this direction of the x-axis, if the rotating line coincides with the negative direction of the x-axis, then the theta for this can be plus minus pi, plus minus 3 pi, plus minus 5 pi, and so on and so forth. That means, see, this is 1, 3, etc. These are odd multiples of pi. That means the negative direction of the x-axis is commensurate with theta equal to an odd multiple of pi, 2n plus 1 pi, where n is any integer. N can be 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on and so forth, right? Whereas the y-axis is going to be an odd multiple of pi by 2. For example, this position of the y-axis is plus pi by 2, and add another pi, so that makes it 3 pi by 2. Add another so pi by 2, and then add another 2 pi, so that makes it 5 pi by 2. Add another 2 pi, so that makes it 9 pi by 2, and so on and so forth, right? Now, add pi to pi by 2, so negative direction of the y-axis would be about pi by 2 plus pi, that makes it 3 pi by 2. 5 pi by 2 plus pi, that makes it like a 7 pi by 2. 9 pi by 2 plus pi, that makes it 11 pi by 2, and so on and so forth. So, in general, do you realize that 1 into pi by 2, 3 into pi by 2, 5 into pi by 2, 7 into pi by 2, 9 into pi by 2, 11 into pi by 2, that means all odd multiples of pi by 2, all odd multiples of pi by 2 would give you the y direction, right? So, be it the positive direction of the y-axis or the negative direction of the y-axis, this is going to be an odd multiple of pi by 2. It's going to be an odd multiple of pi by 2. So, y-axis, that means points where x becomes 0, points where x becomes 0 is about theta equal to an odd multiple of pi by 2. And y is 0, that is the x-axis, could be about an even multiple of pi or could be an odd multiple of pi. So, if the rotating line coincides with the positive direction of the x-axis, y is 0. Negative direction of the x-axis, y is 0. But then, these are two different sets of thetas. Even multiple of pi, and this is odd multiple of pi. Yes or no? Whereas the entire y-axis, that means every time x becomes 0, then theta is about an odd multiple of pi by 2. Yes or no? Now, look, what I want to do is, I want to obtain all values of theta for which sine theta is y by r. I want to obtain all values of theta such that sine theta, which is y by r, is 0. Sine theta is y by r is 0. So, sine theta, which is y by r, would be 0, would be about y equal to 0. Right? I want to generalize theta, that will cause sine theta, which is y by r, to be 0. Obviously, y equal to 0. Now when is y 0? When the rotating line coincides with the x-axis. That means theta is either an even multiple of pi or theta is an odd multiple of pi. That means y equal to 0. That means sine theta equal to 0 would be theta equal to an even multiple of pi, which is this case, or an odd multiple of pi, which is this case, or odd multiple of pi, which is this case. Yes or no? So essentially, if I combine these two, even multiple of pi and odd multiple of pi, it will together account for being an integer times pi. Any integer times pi, this integer can be even or this integer can be odd, which means sine theta equal to 0. Sine theta equal to 0 is about theta equal to any integral multiple of pi, any integer n times pi. Sine theta equal to 0 is about theta being any integer times pi, where n can be even or n can be odd, right? Now, what about cos theta equal to 0? What about cos theta equal to 0? So, cos theta would be 0. Cos theta is x by r, cos theta is 0 every time x is 0. And when is x 0? When is x 0? X will be 0 whenever the rotating line coincides with the y-axis. That means whenever theta becomes an odd multiple of pi by 2. So this happens when theta becomes an odd multiple of pi by 2. Odd multiple of pi by 2. Yes or no? So cos theta is 0 when theta is an odd multiple of pi by 2. Sin theta is 0 when theta is an any integral multiple of pi by 2. What about tan theta equal to 0? Hey, tan theta equal to 0 is only about sin theta being 0. That means it's only about theta being an integral multiple of pi. What about cot theta being 0? Cot theta being 0 is only about cos theta being 0. And that is about theta being an odd multiple of pi by 2. Theta being an odd multiple of pi by 2. So we have some very basic results. Sin theta is 0. Theta could be any integral multiple of pi. Cos theta is 0. Theta is any odd multiple of pi by 2. This is how it goes. Yes or no? And of course, tan theta equal to 0 is not a new result. It will reduce to sin theta equal to 0 or theta equal to n pi. Cot theta equal to 0 is about equivalently cos theta being 0 and theta being an odd multiple of pi by 2. Yes or no? Right? So we now have some very basic results, which is about sin theta equal to 0, cos theta equal to 0, tan theta equal to 0, cot theta equal to 0. By the way, sec theta and cosec theta can never be 0 because they are numerically always greater than 1. Very shortly, I'm going to introduce a few more ideas around this and get into more generalization. Thank you.